Hi, people. I wanted to make another podcast story time about my first boyfriend experience. I started making podcasts instead because I just don't really have a lot of time to put on makeup, do my hair, look good for a video, and to be honest, I do like just recording my voice instead. So I started making podcasts. If anyone has the time to listen to the story time. So yeah, let's begin. I met this guy back in summer 2016 when I was 24. I had just started my prolactinoma medication, so I was a bit hormonal. And I met him at the flats which I was renting, and he was actually the property owner. So like he was like middle aged, and then he started just like following me around everywhere. He chased me at my job, he chased me around the city, and I felt a bit awkward about it because he's just like, I like you, I want you to be my girlfriend, and he's just like, he feels really lonely, he wants a girlfriend, stuff like that. And I'm just like, I wasn't ready. That was like the other, I'd said that in the Are You Still Single video that, he proposed to me marriage even in the streets after a few months of meeting him, and I told him that I wasn't ready, which meant that it probably wasn't meant to be, but that was like the first man that wanted to make me a girlfriend, wife, and stuff like that. And so I felt flattered, but he was older than me, a lot older. He was divorced, he had an adult son, and his adult son was like around my age. And he was just like, what if the condom broke and you become a mom? I'm just like, I don't really want to be pregnant right now. That's what I told him. And I wasn't ready for a lot of reasons, not just for my health problems, but also because it just wasn't the right time for me. And I had a lot of stuff going on. I wasn't in that kind of mindset to get into a relationship. Actually, I think that we weren't on the same page and stuff like that. But I actually learned a lot from him because I didn't really have a lot of boyfriend experience before him. But he was just like very experienced, like he's been with a lot of women before me. So he's just like he was more realistic. By the way, did I mention that he was Jewish? I don't want to say a lot of stuff about him. He was born in Western Europe, but his religion is Judaism. And I've never met a Jewish person before in my whole real life. I've met other kind of ethnicities while I was living abroad, but that's like the first Jewish person I ever met in real life, so that was new to me. And then he was like, I've never been with a Bulgarian woman before. I'm just like, okay, so we're both new to each other. However, he had a bunch of exes that have scarred him emotionally and have wronged him, I guess. Like, he had a Russian ex that he was obsessed with, and the mother of his adult son was Danish. And it was kind of like he sounded like a womanizer. Like, I mean, he was just like a guy that's been with a million women but cannot keep a woman. So that seemed a bit red flaggy to me about him, that he's been with way too many women. He's comparing me to his exes, and he, for some reason, he thought that one of his ex, like the Russian ex or someone else, was a lot better than me, which I don't even know who these women are. Like, I mean, I've never seen them. But I did have like another guy do that to me. When we were dating when I was 20. He kept bringing up his ex, but that time he was negative about his ex. He was just like, my ex is a bitch. She did that. She blah blah blah. I was doing everything. She was just like leeching off me. Blah blah blah. And it's not my fault. Like, it's not my fault you pick these evil bitches to be with. Like, I mean. So it's kind of like these men with these crazy exes story. Like, they bring their exes to me as if, and they treat me horribly. Like, they just compare me to them, and they just tell me how bad she was or how much greater she was than me. And that feels kind of shit because it's almost as if they're trying to diminish your self-esteem. That you aren't as great as her, you aren't better than her. Like, just like I don't really understand what this whole thing is, like, because every woman is different. we're all different, or no one is better than the other. We're just different, and we're coming from different backgrounds, different cultural, stuff. You know what I mean? And it's not fair to just, put women against each other, like, you know what I mean, like how these men do. I didn't quite like that. On top of that, he was super entitled. Like, there was some stuff about him that I didn't really like, and there was like some red flags about him. He sounded entitled to a woman, and he was just like, I think that he was trying to put me down in a way so that he could actually control me, and he was gaslighting me and stuff like that. And also, what shocked me the most about him was when he said shave it. I'm just like, really? Why are you telling me this right now? Why do you care about my pubic hair? I'm just like, it's not like I'm walking around the city without underwear, like, you know what I mean? And so it was like super shocking. I read an article about that, like if your partner demands you to shave your pubic hair off, dump him. And that made me dislike him a lot, because no one really has the right to tell you what to do with your, like, personal hygiene and stuff like that. I'm just like, it was super rude and super disrespectful. I thought that was also like a red flag about him. And the other thing was that he was trying to put me down all the time, and he was just trying to psychologically abuse me and gaslight me to make me do what he wants. And I just, there's some mistakes that he did with me, and to be honest, I did want it to work out. I did want to have a boyfriend, because I never really had a boyfriend before, but I just had like these casual datings that never progressed into something else, or I just, since I was a college student, I wasn't really in a place to be with a partner. For me personally, that's how I felt. I just was too busy. And yeah, I thought that, I wanted to believe that this was going to work, but it didn't. And, then I moved back to my hometown, and I was far away from him, and then he got angry, and he started blackmailing me on Facebook and other social media, and he started blackmailing me on email as well. And that was when I think he started to get angry, because he wasn't able to get me. He wasn't able to make me be with him and stuff like that. He was super, super angry, and to be honest, I think that I just escaped someone that wasn't good for me. Perhaps he was looking for a younger girlfriend to boost his ego, something like that, or just like a replacement to his exes. Because when these men come up with these exes to me, I always feel like they're just looking for a replacement or someone to, but the thing is that I'm not your ex, I don't know who your ex is, and it's unfair to me to constantly be compared to an ex. Or maybe it's my fault that, when I was younger, when I was 20 or when I was 24, when I met this guy, I was expecting the guy to not have a big history. So I guess that I think that, maybe it's my fault that I wasn't expecting that, and that he would have like a bunch of exes to compare me to already by the time I was 20. So, yeah, maybe that came as a shock to me, because I didn't really have a lot of experience. There were just like 5 boys in my high school, and one of them was gay, and 2 of them already had a high school girlfriend. And so that leaves me with just 2 boys, you know what I mean? So there aren't really a lot of boys to choose from in general when you go to school or university. And yeah, that was like that. So I'm just like, how do these men have all this experience? Like, where do they meet these women? It is really bizarre, you know what I mean? Especially someone that had just finished their teenage years, like when I had just turned 20. So, and that reoccurred to me. That happened to me again when I was 24 with a different man. And so that was like the, guy that I thought that he could become my boyfriend. And I'm just like, why is this happening to me again? Like, I don't want to hear about your fucking ex. I don't want to know about her. I don't want to hear about your fucking stupid past. Just like, why can't you just leave the past in the past? You know what I mean? I'm just like, it's super unfair to a new girl for you to just constantly talk about your ex and how great she was and how it fucking sucks. Like, I'm not saying that I expected the man to be a virgin almost, but just like they don't really hold men accountable for their sexual past a lot. Like, and they just punish women if they had sex at least once in their life, and if they had like a few men. But if a guy does it, they don't ever tell them anything. But just because he's a man doesn't make me accept him more easily. Like, what I mean? Just I don't accept it. Like, I'm just like, especially when I was 20, I'm just like, this is, you have way too much experience for that age. I'm just like, no way. And on top of that, the fact that all of his past relationships were unsuccessful, and the woman dumped him or the woman did something to him, I'm just like, well, probably he isn't that great or something like that, what I mean? So that seems red flaggy to me as well. And how he talks about his ex is also like very red flaggy. But to be honest, I don't want to be the new girl, and I don't want to be someone's replacement. What I mean? I've never been someone's first or something like that. So I felt a bit like depressed that I'm just dating these men that have too much experience, and that makes me feel uncomfortable, and I just have to accept it. So yeah, if you're a guy listening to this, if you have a bunch of exes, please don't bring that to the new girl, and don't compare her to your past girlfriends. Don't do that, because it's super rude. It's super disrespectful to the new person, and it's super not fair. Because it's not her fault that you broke up with the last girl, or that she dumped you. She turned out to be some kind of evil bitch. Like, what I mean? So yeah, just don't bring that to the new girl. It's not her fault, and she doesn't want to hear about your past anyway. By now I have a little bit of a past, but that doesn't mean anything, like, what I mean, because I was just gaining experience. But either way, just, try not to bring your past. I know you can mention that you had an ex, but don't make it all of your conversations about the fucking ex, like, what I mean. It's super stupid. Like, with the new person is just staying there and just like, so when is it about me? Like, what I mean, when you're going to try to get to know me or stuff like that, so, or don't try to date a new girl unless you are over your ex, because clearly that I think that not only wasn't I ready, but he wasn't ready either, because he was still obsessing about his ex. So yeah. The other thing about him was,